Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football. From the latest signings to this year's breakout stars and all of the news in between. As always, I am Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Anthony.
And you guys, I'm having a good day so far. You know why? I got a new chair.
Do you? Oh, do you?
I pulled in the one from the computer outside.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, and it's not squeaky. And again, it's not, like the
so
other
we
one.
won't be here. So we won't be able to hear that little weird squeak sound in the podcast. When we play
Literally,
back.
I'm leaning back and forth as we speak right now, and you cannot even tell, right?
I can't tell. I can't hear anything.
Exactly, in your face.
Matter of fact, I don't even think you're sitting down.
I'm just, I'm in a body squat. I'm just holding it the whole show. All right, well, in this show, we are going to be talking tonight's Thursday night football game between the AFC West rival Oakland Raiders and Kansas City Chiefs, a game that will help decide the first place in this division. Then we will be talking a little bit about Adrian Peterson, whom can be healthy, but will come back under one condition in a sense. And, of course, as every Thursday is, and we do on every Thursday, we'll be talking the final drive news that missed or worked its way through the cracks of a big week in football. So we're going to start with Thursday Night Football, but first we're going to be talking about a report really quick that is currently breaking as a potential confirmed report, and that is Alabama's offensive coordinator, Lane Kiffin, former head coach of the Oakland Raiders, and USC, apparently is the next Houston head coach, as reported so far by USA Today. A couple of other websites, they are reporting that Houston has decided on Lane Kiffin as their next coach. So we will see how that goes in terms of confirmation, if it's confirmed by a sporting, like a ESPN or an NFL network or something like that along the lines of a sports network that'll run with it, because I think they get all the absolutes, before putting it up. But if that happens today, we will let you know before the show's over. If not, if that happens anytime soon, tomorrow or over the weekend, we'll let you know when we have the next show. All right. Let's go ahead and look to Thursday Night Football tonight. We have the Oakland Raiders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders, whom are 10-2 on the year, best record in the AFC in regards to tiebreakers. They have the first overall seed. They are still 5-0 on the road, as they have road warriors there for them all year. And then you have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 9-3, one game behind them. If they were to win this game, they would have the tiebreaker in regards to the division and be the number one team in the West. They are 4-1 at home, so equally as good at home in a sense as the Raiders are on the road this year. A couple big injuries for the Raiders as you have rookie Carl Joseph out of this one, as well as linebackers Shalik Calhoun and Stacey McGee, who is a D tackle. All three of those players are out of this one. That's big for a team that struggles on the middle and back end of their defenses with linebacker and the safety out there. The D-line is such a strong position there as well for them, Stacey McGee being out. So that's tricky for a team that likes to get the ball out quick. You're going to need the pass rush. You're going to need tackling safeties like Carl Joseph, whom can cover and come down and hit, and linebacker like Shalik Calhoun. Injuries for the Chiefs, Dontari Poe and Kendall Reyes, both linemen on the D-line there, are questionable. Jeremiah, whom do you see winning this game?
I really, really want to pick Kansas City.
Do you?
I do.
Why?
Because they're at home. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Well, see, now it's not for me and Anthony. We had a discussion. It's not super easy to pick this game.
It's not.
Now,
you know how the Raiders are like the hot team right now.
Yes.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're not
hot.
much colder.
They're pretty hot as well,
mm-hmm.
and they're been getting really good defensive play.
Yeah.
Even though they allowed 28 points, that was a pretty good offense that they played last week in Atlanta. You know, Eric Berry. We talked about Eric Berry as a potential, MVP candidate earlier this week. You know, they're probably one of the most well-rounded teams.
From top to bottom.
From top to bottom. Probably one of the most balanced rosters in all of the league.
We saw it last week, too, with offense, and they scored on defense, and they scored on special teams.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But the reason why I want to go with the Raiders in this game, you know, they one of 3 teams to be undefeated on the road, and that says something to me. And I know they're going on the short week, but, you know, they're one of the best teams in the fourth quarter, let alone the second half. They probably have one of the best quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. I was looking at Carr's fourth quarter stats, and man, they are pretty sexy.
Yeah,
I'm saying, and
playing great.
Yeah, you know, in the fourth quarter this year, you know, he has 10 touchdowns and 120.8 quarterback rating
with no interceptions.
Exactly, and fourth quarter within 7. He has 8 touchdowns, and his rating is even higher, 126.6. So that says something a lot, that this team never is really out of it.
Yeah.
And I do think that the way they play on the road will really help them. You know, to me, I think they're going to play the exact way how they played against the Broncos a few weeks ago, when they just pretty much ran the ball down the defense's throats and get little short passes here and there. But this is going to be a really tough defensive game. I think it's going to be one of the most fun games to watch this week. This game has a lot of hype since last Thursday, before the teams played their games on Sunday.
Oh, you were looking forward to this one before.
Exactly. I was looking forward to this game for like 2 weeks. When I saw this game, the Thursday night schedule, I was like, "Oh, this is too good to be true."
It's definitely the best one so far.
I feel like this is really unfair that we have this on Thursday night, because if this game was like on Sunday night, I think it would have been more quality. But I still think we're going to have a good football game here on our hands.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, and it's hard to pick this one because they're so similar in terms of their teams and their records at the same time. You know, the Chiefs are great at home. Well, the Raiders are great on the road. You know, so it's hard. The Chiefs already won this one, though, once. So if they do win this tonight, they sweep the series, and they will have that advantage in the record. And
that's the reason why I can't really pick KC, is because it's hard to beat a team twice in one season.
It is.
It is. And Arrowhead is a tough place to play.
It's very tough.
Very tough. Probably the second toughest place to play in the league. The first one being Central League.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a really good home field advantage, and every team has their home field advantage in a sense, but they got a good one over there.
And I expect this to be a low-scoring game. I kind of expect it to be like 20-13.
You call that low-scoring?
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, if you look at this Raiders offense, it's pretty low-scoring.
Well, they're averaging about 24 or 28 points a game.
I think a 10-9 game will be kind of...
That'd be man.
That'd be kind of very low scoring.
That'd be boring. All right, Anthony.
Yeah, no, because the thing with the Raiders is they're really good offensively. They're really not bad defensive. They're just not as good defensively.
Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, and with the Chiefs, at least, you know, even though Alex Smith refuses to throw the ball more than 15 yards down the field, he at least has guys that he's going to, whether it be Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, whoever else, you know, who can do things for the team. And you said you wanted to pick the Chiefs, but you couldn't pick the Chiefs. Like, I'll pick the Chiefs just because they're at home, and they, you know, with it being such a short turnaround, right, going from Sunday and the way they won Sunday, going back here at home, like, I'd take that as an advantage for them just because they don't have to go to another stadium that is historically one of the hardest places to play in Arrowhead. The Raiders have to do that. The Raiders offense, even though they're 5-0 on the road, offenses don't tend to travel as well on the road. You get the Chiefs who, you know, momentum-wise, talent-wise, are just as good as the Raiders. Like you said, if they beat the Raiders, now all of a sudden they're tied with the division lead. Now they have, depending on how the Patriots do, the best record in the AFC. Like, I think they're right there with them. So I would take the Chiefs just for this game. But I do think at the end, I think the Raiders will probably win the division. But I'd just say for this game, I'd probably take the Chiefs.
I can't agree with you on that. I'm going to go Raiders, like I did in the sports show. I would go with the Raiders. I think I'm going to go with the pass rush of the Raiders to really help them win this one.
And you know, Alex Smith, he's pretty tough. Well, not pretty tough, but like he struggles with the pass rush against him. Well, not every quarterback does, but Alex Smith especially.
Because he likes to check down.
Yeah, it's because of his skill set.
Yeah, maybe both pass rushes very good. You have Khalil Mack, you have Justin Houston on the other team. So both pass rushes good. I'm going to give it to the Raiders, though. I just think they're playing such good football. And the Chiefs, it's not like they're not, but I got to give it to them. I think the offense of the Raiders is just going to come out on this one on top. I got to give it to them. All right, good combo, guys. We're going to head into our first break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk some Adrian Peterson news here in a minute after the first break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And we're going to get into some, we're going to get into some NFC news here. Yes. Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson, he did say Wednesday that he only will return this season if the Vikings are in playoff contention.
Yep.
They're 6-6. They lost 6 of the last 7 games after starting out 5-0.
Yes.
Do you realistically see Adrian Peterson coming back? Me, I don't think so.
I don't think he should.
I don't think he should. But he did come off that huge ACL injury with a really strong season right after that.
But we can look at it like, if he's healthy enough, of course he's going to want to play. At the same time, is this team going to be in the hunt anymore? And at the same time, he was garbage this year before he got hurt.
And people aren't talking about that. Yeah. He had looking at his numbers here, 31 attempts, 50 yards, 1.6 average. Mm-hmm. He was probably on pace to have his worst year ever.
If he kept that pace up, yeah.
I've never seen. He looked really, really slow coming out of the backfield this year. And not only that, the offense, and that was with the offensive line even being more healthy than it is now.
Yeah, exactly. You look at this team, to make the playoffs, they would need help, and more than likely they need to win their final 4 games, right? He would be having to make that decision in the next few weeks. And personally, if I'm the coaching staff, I'd just say, listen, man, just hold out, Yeah, he's a quick healer. He returned from an ACL tear in 9 months. He won the MVP that year. It appears he's, a little ahead of it again this year in terms of his recovery time, So in that sense, I get it, and I get you're going to want to play, but at the same time, this team, in my opinion, probably not going to be in the hunt. Probably not going anywhere this year after a very strong start. So I think just stay out, get fully healthy. No offense, he's not going to, maybe that's the reason he wants to come back, but he was not very good this year.
Yeah.
And their rushing game has not been good all year. You have a suspect offensive line. You have a revolving door, that's the word I'm looking for, of guys in and out of that offensive line. You've got guys in free agency, and I'm surprised they didn't trade for offensive linemen, whom have been up and down injury-wise. Do you want him to get hurt again, and this time maybe worse for longer, and put him in jeopardy for next season? And I just say hold him out. What do you say, Anthony?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter with that sense, because you want him potentially to be, really great next year, and you see how the Minnesota Vikings were great, then they were terrible, and if you bring him back, and if he gets hurt again, I understand what you're talking about. He came back in 2,000 yards. Yeah, that season was fantastic.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago. It felt like a long time ago.
And even Adrian Peterson, who's half cyborg, he, is getting to that point where he's basically, he's over 30, which for every running back, basically, except for Marcus Allen and Emmitt Smith, is basically the time where you go from amazing to average or, end of your career. So,
Whoa.
What?
Don't forget about Bus.
He wasn't good, though. He just got 9 carries for -3 yards and 19 touchdowns.
Oh, Alex's face right now.
Don't make me take you back.
I'm just saying, look.
Don't make me take you back to the 2005 Super Bowl season in which, down the stretch, he had 3 100-yard games. And in the Denver playoff game, he was the reason they won that game. I'll tell you what. He was the reason. Anyways.
Oh, man, that face that you made, Alex.
He was very upset with me.
I felt personally offended.
You did. You felt very offended. I was like,
people
wow.
don't look at him as a back that could carry his time through the 30s, but man, oh man, did he! The number one game I can look at as like one of the best games ever for a 30-year-old plus running back was the Steelers game against the Bears in the snow, where they had to run with him. I don't mean literally. Yes, they had the phrase. We got to run with him. They put it in his hands. That dude had over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and my opinion, and I'm not just saying this as a Steeler fan, one of the best runs of all time against a solid middle linebacker where not only he ran through Brian Urlacher, he kneed him in the face. Like, he ran through him and Urlacher's falling down, and Bus continued to run, kneed through his face into the end zone. Like, 30-year-old running backs can still do it. If any of them, Adrian Peterson is the one.
Yeah, no, I guess.
Don't forget about the Bus.
Okay, fine.
Don't forget about my boy.
I'm just saying he never had 1,000 yards once he had 30, but that's fine. No, I'm just.
Yeah, that was not his running style.
No. And when I was joking about how many carries he has in yards, because I just remember there was this one game he had where he basically had 3 rushes for 1 yard and 3 touchdowns, something like that. It was just one of those things, fantasy wise, it was fantastic.
Oh, believe me, I know that. Yeah, I'm very aware of those games.
Yeah, but
it didn't bother me.
But no, I mean with Peterson, look, here's the thing. If you look at the Vikings, what they've got headed, you have the Jaguars, Colts, Packers, and Bears. All of those teams stink. All of them, Packers is the best one, but all of those teams stink. So even if they finish it out and go 6-10, there's no guarantee they make the playoffs. They could still
6-10.
10-6.
Oh, it was 6-10.
No way.
They ain't going to playoffs with that right here.
Yeah, and with the way the Lions are playing, I'm giving this division to the Lions. So they
right.
They have to make the wild card, like you were saying. There's too many teams better than them.
Yeah, the Lions are. Honestly, their Lions have been playing so well. They're probably the 3rd best team, I think, in the NFC.
Wow.
Yeah, the 3rd best.
For the first being the Niners and the Saints?
No. The first being the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Come on, man.
I like how you took that so seriously, you actually meant the 49ers. I appreciate how, actually you were no. That.
No, I meant Carolina. Yeah, no, the Cowboys.
No, but
Seahawks.
Getting back to the Vikings and Adrian Peterson here, I'm looking at the schedule here. Jaguars, Colts, Packers, Bears. I think they have a shot maybe to win 2 of these games. I realistically see them going in at 8 to finish the year.
Which is great, having lost the starting quarterback.
That's a great year.
A week before the season. We expect them to just die.
Yeah, we did. Before the Vikings got out and overpaid for Sam Bradford. It kind of looks like they overpaid for him now. I remember.
I mean, potentially, yeah.
Okay. Before they went out and got Sam Bradford and after Teddy, got hurt, between that gap, we all thought this team was, pretty much gone.
We even thought they were still gone when they got Bradford.
Yeah, they did. To be fair, we kind of did, but I thought they're going to be more competitive, and they were. They started out 6-0. But now they defense
5-0.
Okay, 5-0.
Yeah, then they went on their bye, and then they did not win again until 2 weeks ago. They had a tough go of it.
They did. So and then teams started to figure this team out, and they were looked at as the potential Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah, that offensive line deteriorated, and they figured out that they can't run the ball, so just stack the box, make them throw it against you, but they can't pass protect. So.
They can't, and then they figure out pretty much to keep that defense on the field.
Yeah, and it gets too tired, and exactly. I'm glad that you.
Yeah, and so but they're playing 2 teams I really do think have a shot at making the playoffs, but I do think they're only going to play 1 playoff team to round out the final 4 teams here. Colts, I think they're playing the Colts in 2 weeks. I think that's the only playoff team that they're probably going to play. The Packers, I do think they have.
That'll be a good game, but I mean,
the Packers, I don't know if they're going to be the playoffs this year. I think they kind of.
It'll be tough for them to make it.
It's a little too a little too little too late.
But
Realistically, the highest I can really see the Vikings finish is 8-8.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they go 6-10. Honestly,
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I don't see him getting much more out of this season. 8-8 sounds about like their ceiling.
So yeah, it looks like Adrian Peterson will not come back,
which I'm 100% fine with. It's not like he was tearing it up to make me miss his production. I'm fine waiting till next year. I'll play with you in Madden, my friend. It's all right. Okay, let's go ahead and take our last break. We're going to come back. We're going to do the final drive. We're going to lead off with Anthony, and then Jeremiah, and then myself to end off the episode. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we are going to hit the final drive. In the final drive today, we are going to talk about a few things, but first and foremost, we're going to let Anthony go ahead and start here. He's going to lead the way on his final drive.
All right, so
take it away, Anthony.
We talked earlier in the show very briefly. There is a possibility. It's not for sure. It's not, reported by things like ESPN and whatever else like that. And there's reports now that like maybe that's not going to happen because you got Houston's. I think it's the athletic director, kind of like saying maybe, maybe not. But there's a possibility that my boy Lane Kiffin might get another head coaching job in college football. He had the job with USC. He had the job with Tennessee. Both of those went terribly poorly. But there's a chance he's going to get the Houston job, and I love this so much. Not because Lane Kiffin's a great coach. He's not. He's terrible. He's awful. He was with the Raiders, ended terribly. He was with Tennessee, ended terribly. He was with USC, got left at the airport. All terrible things. Totally fine. But it's chaos because he gets there for like 2 or 3 years, makes program worse, everybody's mad, but somehow gets promoted. He had a terrible job at USC. What did he do? Offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He got to work with Nick Saban, which is probably not the easiest job, but one of the best ways to get another head coaching job.
And most rewarding in a sense.
And most rewarding because you're going to get national championships, which he's very much in line to do now, to go back-to-back national champions.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm not saying Lane Kiffin's good. He's not. They had a press conference in Oakland after he was gone. Al Davis and his total, crib keeper looking self at the very end, having those little projectors that you used to have when you were in like 4th grade that would like put it on the wall, all the reasons why Lane Kiffin should have gotten fired, which he was pretty much accurate about. None of those were actually lies. He just looked like a crazy old man. And now we're going to get the chance again in Houston. And it's going to be bad because he's going to be following a really, really good head coach in Houston. And, he's basically going to go, I'm going to call it 7-5. He's not going to have a good year. People are going to be mad. And he's going to get fired in 3 years. But in the meantime, there's going to be all these NCAA violations. And people are just going to get mad at him. And it's slowly going to build and slowly going to get worse. And then he's going to get fired. And then he's going to get promoted to some NFL offensive coordinator job, and then soon be a head coach in the NFL, because this is what Lane Kiffin does, and I love it, and it's great, and it's chaos.
For him being your boy, you certainly dog on him.
Yeah, you did. I'm like, is he really your boy, or is it the fact that he's like in the news today? You just like talking about him.
Yeah, no, I understand. Here's the thing: he is like, I love people who make sports interesting and fun, and he absolutely does that. Is he a good coach? No. He's awful. But
is he a good person? No. He's awful.
But he's also somebody who it's just like, wait, what happened? He did more things. What happened? Oh my God. Okay, let's watch this. Like, he had a play when he was, I think it was with USC, either USC or Tennessee, where he swapped the either punter or kicker's jersey, so that way they wouldn't know it was him. So that way they could kind of do a trick play, which is just like the most like, wait, why would
they used to do that with with Jerry Rice when he was in college. They would put another jersey on him and then realize about 20 minutes into the game why the ball was going to him so much and not Jerry Rice. Oh, they changed the jerseys.
Right.
And then they would change him back and same thing and then realize he's back in the other jersey.
Which isn't illegal to do, obviously.
No.
It's within the guidelines, but it's one of those things of like, how did you know that rule? Like, why? Who thinks of those things? And it's just, I don't know. He's great, and he makes me happy and like a very much like just see what kind of insane stuff he's going to do. And I hope he gets the Houston job. If he doesn't get the Houston job, I want him to get another high-profile job. That way he can just still be around because he's been quiet when he's in Alabama because you're not going to get more publicity than, Nick Saban, who's the greatest college football coach probably of all time. He has to kind of lay low. But if he's the one left to his own devices, it's going to be so bad and it's going to be great.
All right, well, two things before we move on here is one, getting back to the jersey swapping thing, it's not illegal in college. It's not illegal in high school either because I remember in high school when I was playing on my high school team,
right?
Coaches used to swap jerseys. We used to have one of those. They would swap a jersey of one of our big offensive linemen.
Yeah.
They would put like a jersey number that ranged from like the teens to the 20s so they can go into the fullback, running back position so they can perhaps go there. But anyways, that's all I want to say on that. That's my little personal perspective on that issue there.
Well, thank you for the
You're
insider.
welcome. It made the episode better.
Yeah, thanks for
and
the
then,
insider.
two, I actually think, Lane Kiffin may not be the greatest coach of all time. He may not even be the greatest human being of all time, but I'll tell you what.
I'd say that's probably true.
Okay. Well, okay, yeah, it is true. Okay, I said that so wrong. But anyways, I do think he's probably one of the best offensive coaches right now. I do think he's a really good coordinator. To see the quarterbacks that he worked with the past 3 years in Alabama, it's really impressive to me. It's really impressive what he has done, and I really do think he actually deserves a head coaching job, despite all the, blasphemous talk that we had about him today. I'm actually rooting for Kiffin to be successful in Houston. I really am because it's been built as a really good program, and it would be a shame if he would actually tarnish that program after Tom Herman has built there. But
he's going to tarnish the program. He's gonna
I think he's rooting for tarnish. I
am. Well, not rooting.
I hate when that happens to a college program, especially because at the end of the day, they're still practically in their 20s and teens. The players, they're practically our age guys. So
sure,
yeah. I hate to see that happen. I just hate to see it happen. But I'm actually rooting for Lane Kiffin to be successful at Houston. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. But anyways, moving on to another story here. The Browns, they made another quarterback change, guys. Another quarterback change.
Another
one. Like DJ Khaled said, another one. Well, Robert Griffin III has been named the starting quarterback against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I do think this is a move to see maybe if the Browns front office, Hugh Jackson, has something in Robert Griffin to possibly become the starting quarterback next year. So basically, I think he's going to get a 4-game audition. And maybe if RG3 plays well, they might avoid the go 0-16, maybe win a couple more games or 2 games, 1 or 2.
And give the Niners the first
pick.
pick.
The Niners get the first pick. So RG3 might be the reason why the Niners get the first pick, guys. So there you go.
Wow, you're very excited about that.
Yeah, they get the number 1 pick, yeah.
Yeah, that's an exciting game.
That's very exciting. I kind of declared it as a winner in my book.
Well, I guess if you're around the top 5 anyway, if you drop down to the number 1 pick, you're not really that upset about it.
No.
Usually you get a good player. Usually.
Usually.
I stress usually, Jamarcus Russell. Excuse me. Anyways, okay, let's end this show right with my final drive.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about Odell Beckham Jr., whom everybody knows is somewhat of a controversial figure. He is somebody that at times can be critical of calls that are made in his favor. To be fair, the call in the Steelers game, obviously I was watching, that was called offensive pass interference. I don't know if I would have called it on either of them, really. It was kind of a weird-looking play. There was a lot of separation right near the end of it, so maybe they kind of considered him pushing off. Him saying to go into the length of saying that he questionable first quarter pass interference call on him, being told by one of the officials to, quote, get out of my face when he asked for the explanation, knowing that sometimes, he is an argumentative player. Well, he said this week that the best way to say, I'll just say what he said.
Yeah, just say what he said. That's the best way to put it.
The calls in which that weren't called that he thought were so obvious, he believes, quote, Stevie Wonder could have seen them when referencing the questionable decisions throughout the contest. 3 days later, though, and that is, I think, as of today, Beckham and the Giants were in the midst of preparing for their Dallas Cowboys matchup, and he was quoted saying, like I said, everybody knows what is going on the field. Everybody can see it. Stevie Wonder can see it. It is what it is. You can't do anything about it. There is no point. Well, maybe not say that.
Yeah, he could have maybe said something a little differently, but then again, we are talking about Odell Beckham.
Yeah, and then he got into an argument with the officials after the game too. Like, we get it, but there's a time and a place for all that.
Yeah. And, the thing is about Odell Beckham, he's such a really great talent too. He's probably, you can make a case that he's probably the best receiver in the league, but I feel like he's kind of,
not in my opinion. He's too inconsistent at times because he seems to be so hung up on calls and no calls.
But you can make an argument for him. I'm not going to make the argument right now. What I'm saying is that the point I'm trying to make here is that he's such a talent on the field, but yet again he's too immature on the field as well, and he's kind of trending towards being like Terrell Owens back when he was with, back in his final days, or I should say probably his entire career with the 49ers, and when he was at the Eagles in early years with the Cowboys. He kind of matured a little bit after that, but still I kind of see Odell Beckham kind of trending towards being that type of guy. He's kind of like a prima donna times two, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he doesn't shut up, he's probably going to go towards that road, and he's going to look at as a different player than he was off the field, than he was on the field. Kind of like how Terrell Owens is seen now. Even though Terrell Owens put up really great numbers, people don't talk about what he has done on the field. They talked about his antics too much off the field.
I'm with you on that one. I agree. I definitely think that there's issue with the way he goes about stuff, and I think that's the biggest problem. So, needless to say.
But I think we keep forgetting at the end that he is still, I think 24, 23. But then again, he's been in the league for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a time and place to pretty much stop acting like that.
Very true. Do you agree, Anthony?
I mean, I've never really cared what athletes say. It never pissed me off whether it was Terrell Owens or Randy Moss or whoever else. I'm the one who just said I love chaos with Lane Kiffin, so I don't care what you say as long as you're still a good player. As long as you're not Aaron Hernandezing it up, you do what you want, and as long as you can be a good player, I'm fine with it.
I think there's a time and place for it, though. And it definitely seems as he's kind of hurting his team.
Yeah, by far.
I'm glad you agree with me on that, because I that's how I see it, honestly. It's too frequent, and obviously, you had to see literally his team hold him back at the end of the game.
Yeah,
you're not going to get calls. That's not always.
He cries about every call, and it's just frustrating to watch him, whine about every call. I'm like, dude, just go play the game, man. Just go play the game. That's the thing that frustrates me about Odell Beckham. He's such a great talent too, but like you said, Alex, he is very inconsistent. He cries. Well, me personally, I think he cries about every call.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to own him in fantasy for that reason. That's why I'm kind of frustrated with Odell Beckham.
I have
this
him,
year.
But
So.
The guy. It's just there's a time and place for it. Don't hurt your team doing it. That's my opinion, at least. Anyways, we are going to go ahead and move on, and we're gonna go. Tomorrow, of course, you guys will be back with Ben. You're going to be discussing tonight's Monday night, it's going to be Thursday night football game, and doing the same thing you do every Friday, and previewing the matchups going into the weekend, of course. And I will be back on Monday to discuss those very matchups.
Yes, you will.
Again, I'll be back Monday. You guys will be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening to our show, the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and the Podcast Network in general, all of the wonderful shows that we record. So since Ben will be on the show tomorrow, let's say for Ben, I am Alex.
I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Anthony.
And we will see you guys. I'll see you Monday, you guys tomorrow. And Thank you so much for listening. You guys enjoy your football, and we will talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.